Hi, I'm Chris Cherry, and this is Chris Cherry Reviews a Thing. Now, I should probably explain why you're watching this. Actually, no I shouldn't. I already did in the last one. If you don't know, go watch that one. Anyway, I'm back. Another thing has been foisted upon me, and it is a doozy. It's called The Wylds, aka The Adventures of Chris Fable, and the only way I could think that it came to exist was because Andrew Weist, a Christian, was watching O Brother, Where Art Thou and thought, hey, I should do that, but instead of the Odyssey, it's the Pilgrim's Progress, and instead of the Great Depression, it's a crazy hodgepodge land of randomness. Now, if you don't know what the Pilgrim's Progress is, it doesn't really matter. Suffice it to say, it's about leading a good Christian life, and it's one of the least subtle allegories ever, and this movie makes no attempts to change that. Let's begin. Let's start with the opening title sequence, featuring shaky cam so shaky it makes the Bourne Identity look like 2001: A Space Odyssey. Our hero is chased through a junkyard and into a church. Here, we get our first taste of the soundtrack that's been recorded for this film. Yeah, he's bad. The cop comes into the church, and we find out he's not just a cop, he's...
I'm looking for a thief.
A cop. This cop is so intense. He makes Horatio Caine look like 2001: A Space Odyssey. I only have one simile.
A thief, you say?
A young boy about his age.
And his height. And wearing his clothes. And holding a bag of stolen loot like his. You know where I could find a kid like that? Anyway, the preacher covers for him and they get to talking.
What are these?
Books.
He doesn't know what books are? I'm having a hard time believing that this kid hasn't heard of books, but is still cutting his hair like he's a member of One Direction. Anyway, she tells him books are priceless, so of course he starts stealing them when she's not looking, because he's kinda stupid. So she tells him that she expects him to return and be her apprentice, but he disagrees. Oh, by the way, this kid who doesn't know what books are has braces.
There ain't no way I'm hanging out with a preacher. I'm a professional thief.
I'm sorry. No. Try again. Start again.
I'm a professional thief.
I'm sorry. I am not buying this. And don't think it's the kid that's just deluded. No. This whole movie believes that he actually is a professional thief.
I'm a professional thief.
Either this music is actually brilliant in a Twin Peaks sort of way, or I'm developing Stockholm Syndrome. Anyway, Chris runs back to the junkyard where he lives with a bunch of other orphans in a lazy riff on Oliver Twist, with a leader that's halfway between Fagin and the Mad Hatter.
I am Iggy the Magnificent!
And is the worst, and therefore the best, actor in this movie.
What's this?
Anyway, Chris leaves and they burn his books. This movie's dumb. I'm leaving. Unfortunately, she doesn't actually get to leave. Instead, she visits Chris, and they get to talking about books. He shows her the one book that he held on to.
The preacher said this is the best one.
It's called A Game of Thrones.
And you stole it?
Of course he stole it.
I'm a professional thief.
Anyway, she tells him he has to give it back. And then this happens. Okay, I don't know what's going on, and I don't care. There are giant robots in this movie. Giant robots. Okay, so Chris finds Faith, the girl from earlier, and they try to escape, but they can't because the Mad Hatter stops them.
Look around you.
Looks fine to me.
All I see are green screens.
Everything's gonna be just fine.
No! Not you, Mad Hatter! You were truly the best of all of us!
Flee from the wrath to come.
No way, he's safe! It was a dream! But that means that the giant robots weren't real? Oh my god, so many emotions! Anyway, he goes to return the book. What? He was doing it first. Anyway, he asks her about his dream.
If there's a war and everything and everyone I knew were all being destroyed.
Okay, you're underselling it here. There were giant robots.
Perhaps what you saw was a vision of things to come.
You think you know what's to come? What you are? You haven't even begun. Then we learn that Chris ran away from his father.
I've seen that necklace before. It was in a picture.
Is that like a book?
In my travels, I met a fisherman, a very kind man. He lives in a place they call Celestial City. It's like no place you've ever seen before. And this fisherman, he spoke of his lost son and showed me his picture. It was you, Chris.
Does this mean that she knew who Chris was the whole time? Is she old Benning him right now? Anyway, Chris decides to go to Celestial City, aka Heaven Town. But first he goes to find Faith.
Duck. Seen Faith?
Yeah, I just saw her.
Where is she?
What's the rush?
Just go find her, will ya?
I can't be bothered. Then when they try to leave, they get stopped by this guy. Man, 50s style leather jacket motorcycle hoodlum? This is Twin Peaks, isn't it? Iggy the Mad Hatter finds out they're trying to run away and tries to stop them.
What's that noise? I didn't think any of these machines worked anymore.
Right. Anyway, Faith puts on Chris's jacket and runs off trying to distract Iggy. He seems somehow less feminine. Then they get stuck in a bog.
Stop! The mud's too thick!
Then this happens.
Hey, kaboom!
It turns out problems just solve themselves.
What's that?
You people don't know what anything is, do you? Anyway, Chris gets saved by this kid.
You come from a city, right?
Yeah.
That horrid wretched excuse for a city is the cause of what you see here.
Aw, he thinks he's an adult. Anyway, the kid leaves and then Chris, well, I'll let the narrator explain.
Chris, walking solitary by himself.
I'm sorry, how is he walking?
Solitary by himself.
Solitary by himself?
Solitary by himself.
He's alone?
Solitary by himself.
Okay then. Then he meets this guy who rips off Gilbert and Sullivan.
I am the very specimen of a snakeskin oil salesman. I've merchandise, instructional, medicinal, contraptional.
Turns out he's got a map to Celestial City, and Chris trades a comb for it. Wait a minute, did he steal the comb from this guy? How did he do that?
I'm a professional thief.
Oh yeah, I forgot. Anyway, he goes off in the woods with the map. Wait a minute. No wonder I'm lost. This isn't a map at all. It's a caricature of Jimmy Kimmel.
Let the book be your guide.
She is old Benningham. Anyway, he starts running from the sound of... Maybe finally we'll get to see some giant robot action. He keeps going and he runs into some street toughs in the woods.
There's something coming, it's out there. You guys can make fun of me all you want.
Oh, I plan to. Anyway, he runs some more and we get footsteps again. Okay, come on, movie. Just show him already or stop it. I'm getting giant robot blue balls. Or is it giant blue robot balls? I don't know. I'm not Michael Bay. I'm not an expert at robot testicles. No, don't wake up. Stop waking up. It makes the robots go away.
Where am I?
Wicket Gate.
Then you must be the gatekeeper?
Why, are you the keymaster? Anyway, she introduces us to the villain.
All over our friend.
It serves the ruler of this land. He calls himself a prince. There was a time when this whole land was beautiful and full of life, and now there's nothing but death.
I know, look at all those disgusting trees out there. Ugh.
There was a war between the king and the prince.
Wait a minute. They made war over the right to rule this land? I think I know how this went.
We will rule over all this land, and we will call it this land. I think we should call it your grave. Curse your sudden but inevitable betrayal.
Anyway, they go out and look at the ugly, disgusting trees of death, and she tries to convince him to get rid of his pack. Wait, where have I heard that before?
That pack of yours certainly didn't help the situation. What have you got in there?
But it's just weighing you down anyway.
Let it go.
Man, this movie never found a metaphor it couldn't run into the ground.
I can't. It's just all I have left. It's all stuff that I've always wanted for myself and never had.
I'm super into candlesticks. Anyway, he leaves the outpost or whatever it was, and he ends up here. Once again, subtlety is not this movie's strong suit. Anyway, the gate is too narrow, so he has to take off his burden in order for him to go through it. At least that's what the narrator tells us afterwards, but we don't actually see it happen. You know, most of this movie's flaws are in dialogue and acting and production choices, but this is just straight up bad storytelling. I mean, we never see the moment where he decides to get rid of this thing. Like, he doesn't, like, try to go through with the thing and fail. He just takes it off right away. It doesn't even look hard for him. I mean, this is supposed to be your big emotional moment movie, and you're blowing it. Instead of seeing a human being make a choice, we spend extra time watching a pack fall down a cliff. It's boring and it doesn't work. This actually highlights a problem I have with most Christian attempts to make art. Despite the fact that they're writing about what to them is the most important part of their lives, the art is always incredibly dull and it lacks vitality, emotion, and truth. Of course, the ironic part is that now that this is over, the movie starts to get a lot more vital and interesting. I mean, it's like they've gotten rid of the burden of Christianity and now they're getting to the part that they actually care about. The movie starts to get, I can't call it good or really better, but more interesting, let's say. We'll see that in part 2.